Okay. This one says a biologist measured the lengths and masses of 8 rainbow trout. Make a scatter plot of the data shown in the table and describe any relationship you see. Now, this is what we're learning all this math for. This is what we use math for in the real world. We just measure a bunch of stuff and see what we see. And a lot of times there's an equation that kind of helps us to make predictions about things. All right. By the way, if you were to guess, if a fish is longer, what does that tell you about their weight? Would they weigh more or less? Probably more, right? Well, how much more? We don't know. But we could probably take these numbers, these measurements, and sort of figure out an equation. So let's plug this in a calculator. So what I want you to do is grab your calculators, and I'm going to go to my screen here, and I'm going to actually switch this screen over here and switch this with my calculator so you guys can see the calculator a little better. And maybe I'll move my face over here. Yeah, I'll move it over here. All right. So now what I'd like for you guys to do is go to, see this button right here where it says y equals? Click y equals. Now you probably got some stuff in there that's left over from the other class. What I want you to do is see this button right here that Mr. Adams is waving his mouse over. That's the clear button. Does everybody see the clear button? Hit clear. Why don't you have a calculator in your hand? Grab it, turn it on, hit y equals, and do the same thing for y2. So hit the clear button. Okay. Everybody should have a calculator in their hands. Thank you. All right, so I need to do that. Now what I want you to do is I want you, see this button that says stats? See this button that says stat right here? Click on that. You should get a menu that looks like this. Is everybody at this menu yet? Yeah. Now hit enter because we want to edit things. Does everybody have this screen? You have an issue? Bring here. Let me see. Oh, okay. That would have went away if you did the thing, but that's okay. So here's where we're at now. Now, some of you probably have some numbers in your calculator. Do you? All right. So if you have some numbers in your calculator, this is very important. Take the cursor button, this button right here that goes up. Okay. Go to where it says L1. See how I've got L1 selected here? Then I'm going to hit clear. See this button that says clear? You got to hit clear. When I hit clear, what it does is it'll flash down here, then just hit enter, and that should erase all the numbers you have. So if you have some numbers, let me put some numbers in so you guys can see what I did here. So I've got these numbers in here. If I ever want to clear a list, that's what L1 means, list 1. I put the cursor up here at the top. See how it has the numbers for the list right here? If I hit clear, that gets rid of those numbers. Then when I hit enter, it clears it out. Now, if you have numbers in L2, do the same thing. Move the cursor over to the right, go up, then hit clear. Okay, does everybody have all the numbers cleared out of L1 and L2? Yes? Okay. So now what we're going to do is we're going to enter in the numbers. So I'm going to enter in the numbers from the example. So the first number is 405. I want you to enter in the same. And so if you type in 405, this says list 1, entry 1 equals 405. Then you hit enter. The next one is 360. The next one is 413. The next one is 395. And 247. And 280. 265. Oops, that's not 265. 265. And then 351. So you should have 8 entry, right? Remember that the problem itself said the biologist measured the lengths of 8 rainbow trout. So those are the lengths. Okay. So make sure you got those numbers. Once you get those numbers in, hit the cursor to the right. See this little arrow that points to the right? You're going to put those numbers in for L2, which are 715, 557, 754, 584, 184, 248, 223, and 506. All right. So as soon as you get all those numbers entered in the same way that you see them on my screen on the projector, raise your calculator and just show it to me like this. All right. Okay. I've only seen one calculator. You guys still entering in the stuff? Okay. I'll be patient. While you're entering that in, this is a very common type of good. You guys are getting that. This is a very common SAT type problem. Easy to get the answer if you know how to use your calculator. Easy. You plug the numbers in, and the calculator will graph it for you. Okay. Remember, they asked us to create a graph and then say if we see some sort of relationship or not. Okay. So now from this point, we want to graph it. So we need to do a scatter plot. Look at this y equals button over here, all the way up to the upper left button. See where it says y equals? What does it say in blue above that button? Stat plot. It's in blue, which means I have to hit the blue button, which is second. So hit second, and then y equals. It's like a shift button, right? You know, on your keyboard, you hit shift to get capital A, or you hit a function button. The second button is like a function button. So now this takes me to stat plot. So I'm going to plot this thing. Notice that my plots are off. Are all 4 of your plots turned off right now? Mm-hmm. So I'm going to hit enter, and it's highlighting plot 1. Notice that it's flashing on. I want to turn the plot on. Then I'm going to hit enter again, and it's going to take me to a different screen. So not a different screen, but if I use the cursor button, okay, the type is the type of graph. I want to do a scatter plot, which means it's going to plot these points. L1 will be the x coordinates, and L2 will be the y coordinates. How do I know that? Because when I hit the cursor button down, it says the x list is L1. Now you could change that, but for most of the stuff that we're doing in this class, we'll never have to change that. By default, L1 is x, and L2 is the y value. I could put a box, or I could put a dot. It doesn't matter. I could put crosshairs. You could change that by moving the cursor. I'm going to do a dot. Oops. Now, I could also change the color. And when I get to color, I could change it to red, black, magenta, whatever color I want. I'm going to leave it navy. You don't have to change the color. You can leave it, but I'm just showing you some things about the calculator. Now, when I hit enter, I've got all this stuff set up. What do you think I hit next? I'm going to hit graph. But now when I hit graph, I don't see anything. Why is that? Well, because my last class had the calculators and they set the window differently. I need to set the window where it fits the data I just put in. So go to, see where it says zoom? See this button that says zoom? Click on zoom and hit the down button and see the one that says zoom stat? What we're entering in are statistics. So I'm going to hit zoom stat, and we'll bam with the bacon sizzle. What do you see there? That's the scatter plot. Okay. What do you notice about the scatter plot? Yes. Yep. What do you notice about the scatter plot? Doesn't this look like a line? Right? If I had a fish that was this long, what would you expect the weight to be close to? The weight. I would expect the dot to be somewhere around here. In other words, let me take a picture of this and I'll show you what I mean. Um, so this is my scatter plot, right? So if I go back to the notes, I'm going to put that right here. That's a scatter plot. Now what it looks like there is, oops, I didn't want that. Put my beautiful face over here again. It looks like it kind of looks like a line, doesn't it? Doesn't that kind of look like a straight line, sort of? In other words, if I have a length of a fish here, I would expect the length of that fish or the weight of that fish to fit somewhere in the box here, sort of, right? That almost looks like a straight line, right? Do you guys see that? And that's all they want us to do. This is what we do in the real world. This is how we know how many pairs of shorts to make and sell in the summertime. This is how we know how many lunches to make for you guys. You know, we take attendance every day, and by second hour, they look at the attendance and they figure out how many lunches they need to make based on the attendance. It's all done the same way. They may not make a graph, but they have graphs that they do for the whole year. They have to order food once a week, sometimes once a month, depending on the food. They have to figure out how much all this stuff costs. So we collect a bunch of data. And when we collect a bunch of data, the data can be used to help us get important information. Whoops, I want this one. So if I zoom in on this, okay, so that's all we had to do. Any questions on that?